Sometimes it can take one talented man to pull a whole film together. Other times it takes a whole bunch of personalities. With podcasts, it's no different. While this show is free to watch on all platforms, put it together isn't free. You can help offset our production costs by going to patreon.com/evacstation. For less than the cost of a... What am I here? For less than the cost of a leash for your beast, you can help support our show and keep all our personalities in their place. Again, that's patreon.com/evacstation. And, on to the show.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet, in the halls. It comes awake and I can't control it.
Welcome to the After Credits Cast, which is full of personalities. I'm your host, Aaron J. Waseska, and here are my two alters to help me through my day. Ryan Metters, who's our muscle persona with the voice of a black angel.
No.
And our other
Wow.
and our other persona, Beau Ketchum, who is our chef persona who is able to slap all the asses.
Ass slapping with seasoning.
See, now just imagining you like that chef meme. You're just sprinkling some kind of like spice, and then you have just an ass beneath you.
Just smacking them, tenderizing that rope roast.
That rump roast?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
I'm an asshole. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me.
And speaking of assholes, if you want to go ahead and comment down below, you can also go to us on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, or email evacstation@gmail.com. We love you guys, but yeah.
Great segue.
I try. So as always, we start our podcast off with the same segment. What you guys been watching?
Well, I've actually been mostly playing games nowadays, and one of the games that I've kind of fallen into is Soul Calibur 6. God, that game is so good. I love the Soul Calibur series, and the biggest thing that I love about it is the create a character bit. In this game in particular, they have a story mode where it starts off with you creating a character and then playing through the story mode with that created character as they go alongside like the main quest. And of course, the first created character that I always make is a guy with the soul of Maxie, the one with the nunchucks. He is a tall, muscular black man with an afro and a Fu Manchu mustache. And he is the karate master known as Shonuff. So that's what I've been playing for a little while now.
Nice.
Whoa. Wait, did you say you named your character Shonuff?
Shonuff. Yes, sir.
I fucking love everything about that.
I haven't played Soul Calibur since like Soul Calibur 3. I fell out a long time ago. Not that I hate it, just that I had the Star Wars characters and I'm like, yeah, this is a little too much for me. I'm gonna just take a break. But this looks really good from what I've seen. So,
it's so good.
So a little bit of behind the curtain thing here. We are recording this before Black Friday, and I want to say there's a Black Friday deal I've seen for this game that will have it down at $37 or $35. I might pick it up for that because that's a pretty solid number there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Speaking of deals, and I'm sorry to just constantly taking us off the rails, but Steam just let me know that Neo is on sale for half off, and
that puts it at like what, 25?
Yeah, I might go grab that for Steam. God damn it.
Yeah, I'm holding off as many game purchases as I can, but Soul Calibur and Smash Bros. are my picks for this year.
Yeah, these are good picks. Those are real good picks.
Before I get into mine, Beau, did you have any what you watchings you want to add to it, or should I just jump straight into mine?
Actually, yeah, I've been watching a very awesome season of American Horror Story.
Is it the new one?
Oh man, the new season that's out right now very few shows that we actually watch like week to week. Walking Dead and American Horror Story, and some of the seasons are arguable whether they're good or not, but this season in particular has just been really awesome. Very, very awesome. Very artistic. It's got a lot of color scheme elements that I've appreciated. A lot of backstory connections that have been pretty cool. But then the overall story itself has really had this like very unique take on just apocalyptic type horror to it.
I really want to. I really want to
very
get into it. It looks really good.
It is, man. It is. Like, I can argue some of the seasons are like some of the shittiest seasons of television, but this season in particular has just been like it very seems like the senior thesis of American Horror Story. Like, at first when it first came out,
the senior thesis of American Horror Story.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've had this like journey of like progressive different storylines for every season, and I think this is like they finally have got it right. They finally have like nailed the coffin on the head, so to speak, to American Horror Story, and have like made this community of different characters come together very cohesively. So I think it's been kind of good.
So, as a fan of American Horror Story, I haven't watched it yet because it's on Netflix and I don't have cable. But I do like the show, and I have to ask you, Beau, ignoring this season because I haven't seen it, I can't be a fair judge here. What is your favorite season of the whole series?
Oh, Asylum. I think Asylum is one of the coolest seasons of all time of television, just because the dark elements that it adds to it. Yeah, they get off on tangents a little bit with like some of the outside alien stuff, but the core acting of the show with like one of my favorite scenes with when they go into like that mental outbreak of the name game, and it's that musical like episode where they're just, you know, it's almost like a music video. I think being able to do that as a television show was like so cool, so relevant, and just very Ryan Murphy. And then when you look at the like set design and the color schemes that went into that particular season, I think it's overall like very beautiful, very dark, very haunting, and just very, very good season of television. Yeah, there's points that I could argue that make it also very shitty with elements of the aliens and whatnot, but at the end of the day,
what?
American Horror Story goes off the rails a couple times here and there.
It goes off the cup. Like, that show, like 2 episodes before the end of the season, it could have ended 2 episodes earlier, is what I'm trying to say. But oh well, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I forgive those last 2 episodes because how well the core season that was.
I will say that my favorite season it was Asylum for the longest time, but I might be on the minority here. I adore the cult season without question. It is a very interesting look at the cult mentality behind the political world of America, and I absolutely love what it turns into. It's so good.
Oh my god, I feel like we could have a podcast on it because I agree with you. Like, without getting too, off on tangents here, because we're supposed to talk about a different movie.
Of course.
I think Cult was very shocking and very like relevant to minority groups. Like, as a straight white man watching that show, I don't think it's as horrifying if you're watching it as a lesbian minority, and everything that was going on politically at that time, how scary it was. And so because of that, like, relevant factors to it, the fact that a white man couldn't relate to that show in certain aspects made that season amazing.
And also, shout out to Evan Peters. He fucking delivered that season so hard.
Oh man, Evan Peters is one of the greatest actors of all time.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention James McAvoy, who starred in the movie that we're about to talk to.
He's trying to get us back on the rails.
Dude.
Well, I will shoot real quick because my show for what I've been watching ties into this movie a little bit, and I'll bring it up more later. But the show I just finished watching after binging it for about a week and a half is United States of Terror.
Yes, pray tell, what's this about?
So, for those who are uninitiated like I was, it's a Showtime show that you can actually stream on Hulu. So go check it out. It's really good. It only got 3 seasons, though, which kind of sucks. But basically, it is Toni Collette playing a character with DID. She starts off with 3 different personalities, but quickly gains more throughout the series. Some of them are way, way more problematic than they should be. But yeah, they come up and things get real. I watched it because it had Brie Larson in it, and I was on a kick after Room. And then Toni Collette was in it. I'm like, oh shit, she's awesome. Let's watch more of this stuff. So yeah, great show, and I won't talk about it too much more because I want to bring it up later when we discuss DID with Split. And I think that'll be worth talking about.
Great movie, or great TV show. I would like to put my 2 cents in there.
So Ryan, I would definitely recommend checking it out when you get a chance. Cause I think you will actually like it a lot.
I just might. Honestly, I just might give that a shot.
Oh man, I have a huge I would like to talk about in that show, John Colbert, or is that how you say his name?
You mean the husband, right? Yeah, I think so.
The husband, yeah. Oh my god, I've always had a huge man crush on that guy.
He's pretty cool. I love the finale when he loses his shit a couple times. It's like, oh man, you deserve this. You deserve some shit losing moments.
If you guys have watched the Saint Clarita Diet with Drew Barrymore.
Oh yeah, fucking Timothy Oliphant. I haven't seen it yet. I keep wanting to watch that.
Oh man, those two, between him and John Colbert's, you see this husband who absolutely loves his wife and is just absolutely trying to keep everything together in the most normal circumstances of all time. And so to see the lead character, these women, but to see the husband just trying to keep it together is just so entertaining. And I think those two guys fucking kill it as far as lead men on supporting a female role. So,
well, speaking of talented men actors, let's move on to our film of the week. This week on...
Oh, yeah, we watched a film this week. Right.
This week on The Shyamalyzing. We'll be talking about 2016 Split, which is only streamable on a service called Max Go, but you can also buy it digitally on Amazon, YouTube, Google Play, and all that other stuff if you want to buy a digital copy. The cumulative gross of this movie currently sits at $278,454,000. Tonight we'll be enjoying the talents of...
Holy fuck.
We'll be enjoying the talents of James McAvoy, Anya Taylor-Joy, James McAvoy, Betty Buckley, James McAvoy, Haley Lou Richardson, James McAvoy, Jessica Sula, James McAvoy, James McAvoy, James McAvoy, James McAvoy, fucking Bruce Willis in another cameo, and the great James McAvoy. Did I miss anybody?
Shit, fuck. James McAvoy was also in it.
No.
Oh, right.
No, Ryan, I'm sorry to correct you, but he also forgot James McAvoy.
Damn! My bad.
You remember?
I missed it. Right. No. He was in that one scene. You're right.
Yep, exactly. Yep, that was the scene you missed, man.
And for awards, this movie really only won one kind of award, and it goes for Best Actor. But it didn't win it at the Academy Awards, unfortunately. But it did win it in the Cine Euphoria Awards, the Fright Meter Awards, and multiple Film Critic Associations across America. So
that's because James McAvoy carried this fucking movie on his back. It was so no hate at all to the rest of the cast. They absolutely did a fantastic job. But this was like a masterclass for James McAvoy. This was just him showing off the whole fucking movie.
Spoilers, I've got a fun fact for Glass that actually ties into that. We'll get to it next week, so... That'll be fun. Alright, so before we get too far, I have an interesting fun fact for you. Inspiration for this movie, real-life multiple personality Billy Milligan, from February of 13th of 1955 to December 12th of 2014, charged with three rapes, was the first person diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, or DID, to use an insanity defense by reason of that disorder, and also first to be acquitted as such. Milligan had 24 personalities consisting of 10 desirables: Billy Milligan, Arthur, Reagan, some Russian name I can't pronounce, Alan, Tommy, Danny, David, Christine, Christopher, and Adelana, and 13 undesirable personalities, including Phil, Kevin, Walter, April, Samuel, Mark, Steve, Lee, Jason, Bobby, Sean, Martin, and Timothy, and the quote-unquote teacher, a fusion of all other personalities.
Oh, Lord, that sounds like some real-life supervillain shit.
I love that there's actually a case this is based on, so there's some grounding in real life to what we're experiencing here. Just a bit.
Oh yeah, I was actually a part of an advanced psychology class in high school, and I was super not obsessed, but like one of the things that I wanted to study further was DIDs, and so I studied a bit of the case of what you're talking about. But on the counterpoint to that, there's also several serial killers. Ted Bundy at one point. No, don't quote me on that. But there's another serial killer that like tried to pose as the fact that he had DID. And there's a very interesting case study that went into like trying to bust him on becoming the fact that he didn't have it. And it was really kind of cool to be able to know all the counter information to this, but also kind of knowing like some of the case study psychological things that have happened into the buildup of the story.
Yeah, United States of Terror actually touches up on a little bit that the common rebuttal against DID being a thing is just that it's the person's disorder isn't that there are actual multiple personalities, but that the disorder is more tied to their inability or unwillingness to take responsibility for their actions, and thus they make up their personalities to avoid that responsibility. So the personalities, and that's so they say the personalities aren't real, but they believe they're real, and that's why they kind of go into that disorder. That's the alternate way of thinking, other than just, oh hey, there are multiple personalities here. Those are the two strong arguments or two strong sides of the case I'm aware of when it comes to DID. But I think research has come a long way to kind of fall in favor that DID is legitimate. I don't know how legitimate. I haven't read enough to verify, but it does, like the latter one I mentioned, is becoming less popular as we go forward.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, not to get into like deep in the psychology of DID, but basically these personalities are developed through a very traumatic, mostly childhood type scenario where these personalities are created to step in to deal with the trauma rather that they're dealing with. So think of cases of extreme abuse as a child. A lot of times there is a character that's developed in the mentality or in the brain to help cope with this traumatic syndrome, which we'll totally get into as we get into the movie.
Yep, I have a question about that we'll get to here in a little bit, actually. Before we get too deep, though, gentlemen, what are your initial thoughts going into Split?
What a fantastic fucking movie. Honest to God. This was when I initially saw the movie the first time in 2016. I thought, oh my God, I had forgotten that Shyamalan can actually make amazing fucking films if he would get out of his own way and just do what he knows how to do. and this it definitely proved itself to that to me again. Seeing the similarities in the simplicity between Unbreakable and this movie, I love it. I'll save it till we get deeper into it. But James McAvoy runs a fucking masterclass in acting, and M. Night Shyamalan returns back to his roots and makes some good film. That's it.
I agree. 2016 wasn't the strongest movie year, but I think this was like M. Night's comeback movie. He had made some critically awful movies up until this point, and the fact that he came in so strong with this new movie, and spoilers, the fact that he tied it into one of his greatest movies of all time, 16 years back from that, I think was very awesome. Acting wise, like not just James McAvoy, but the character who played Casey, she fucking kills it.
She killed it.
She does really
Oh my god. This movie was intense from the second that it started. And because of the podcast, I related it to the last horror movie that we did was Get Out. And now that I look at Get Out and this movie, Get Out doesn't even hold a candle to this movie about the level of intensity and horror that this brings.
I would agree that it doesn't match intensity. I would say that I would argue that Get Out is trying to do
a different kind
of
more
horror. Socially based horror as opposed to just straight up horror. But
we talked about that. It didn't have like a social consciousness to it, but when it comes into just like straight horror movie, this is one of the top 5 hands down.
This is big.
So I'll throw my 2 cents in here real quick. I like the acting. I think that McAvoy, I'll agree, masterclass there. Casey also does a really good job with her as the the hero character, so to speak. I think that Shyamalan definitely comes back into the director's chair in a strong way. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of his movies, but it's a strong return. I have some minor gripes with this, and I don't know where that'll end up our conversation at, but I'm looking forward to seeing what
that'll
takes
be
us.
cool. That'll be cool because I have a bunch of things that I love about it, and I want to hear somebody bring some negative points so we can get some good discussion. That'll be good.
But I will say this: I'm not going to be overly negative. I don't think this will be anything below bronze by any means. I don't even think it'll be bronze, but I do. I do think there are some things holding it back just a smidge.
All right.
Yeah, bring it, Aaron.
Well,
Sure.
Before we get to that, let's get to the synopsis, and I have a slight disclaimer for this one. For the sake of simplicity, the DID character, the entity of the character, will be referred to as Kevin, unless we're talking about a specific identity that is his name. Also, I want to use the words persona and alter kind of interchangeably. Don't ask me to change. I'm just going to go back and forth with those. Here we go.
Change it. Sorry.
Claire and a couple of her schoolmates, Marcia and Casey, are just leaving the grandest party. Their fatherly chauffeur is beaten up, and the Dennis persona knocks out the girls with some kind of spray. Don't know what it really is. When they wake up, they find themselves in a room that looks like my mom's basement. They're held captive by 3 of Kevin's undesirable alters: Dennis, the neat freak, Patricia, the matron, and Hedwig, the wee child. They are referred to as the Horde by the other persona of Kevin, and they desire to summon forth a 24th hidden persona. Don't you hate it when party games have unlockable characters? While the Horde is distracted or sleeping, the other persona take control of Kevin and reach out to their doctor, Dr. Fletcher. As the Barry persona, he visits her, reassuring her things are fine. They're all fine. She quickly deduces that she isn't really speaking to Barry at all, but to Dennis, pretending to be Barry. Dennis reveals the Horde's plan, and she tries to talk him down. When she learns too much, Dennis kills her and proceeds to summon the Beast. While all this is happening, the girls are separated and stripped of a good portion of their clothes. Marcia dies off screen, and Claire soon after. Casey finds videos on Kevin's computer, a la Dawn of Justice-style trailers, for the various persona. She also finds a note from Fletcher and it tells her the real name of Kevin and that it can be used to gain control over him. Kind of. As Kevin tells Casey to kill him, the other personas steal control from him until the newly unlocked Beast DLC enters the brawl. Using Kevin's gun, Casey shoots the Beast and gets cornered in a cage. As the Beast is about to consume her, he notices the various scars upon her body. He learns what the audience has been spoon-fed throughout the film, that Casey is a victim of rape and abuse at the hands of her limp dick uncle, Lester. I made up the name, I don't know what it is. The Beast spares her because of this nonsense philosophy he has. She gets rescued by the zoo workers who have come down into the basement shortly after the Beast leaves. And the whole situation is reported on the news where the lovely David Dunn catches a whiff of a new challenger. Kevin, David, Patricia, Hedwig, and the Beast will return.
Gotta love that DLC, man. They're always too boss.
Man, I hate when they charge more than when they charge too much for DLC. Like, if you're gonna charge $5, I need a character, a stage, and like some music. That's what I need.
But the Beast DLC is too OP. We gotta nerf that shit. It's too OP.
Dude, he's the Bayonetta of Kevin.
Good God.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, I'm talking about Smash Bros. Personally, but, that's just me.
Kind of sound like you're talking about a Naughty by Nature song. You down with D.I.D., you know me. Who's down with D.I.D.?
All right, Beau, you're going to have to leave the podcast. I'm sorry.
Oh.
You're going to have to leave the podcast now.
So, guys, with that synopsis cleanly out of the way, what are your thoughts on the film? And I have questions, so whenever we get a lull, I will throw them out to you.
Well, so I'm going to try and avoid just hampering on about James McAvoy's acting for too much, but I'm going to give it its due here and just I love how complete his portrayal of each character is, and he's doing some really difficult stuff in the field and craft of acting. There are times where he is one persona pretending to be another persona. There are times like the different personas have so many differences between them. They feel like completely different people. And then those scenes towards the end, especially when his full name is said, and he rapid fire cycles through all of his personas before the Beast comes back. I mean, just to be able to change on a dime like that. Oh my God. I love this dude. This dude's too good. This man was just too good.
I'll have complaints in a bit, but I will go into the positives here first and say yes, McAvoy's acting is probably the best thing about this movie, hands down. I've seen him in other films. I've seen him in X-Men. I've seen him in a couple other things as well. X-Men's the first thing that comes to mind. He always delivers a really solid performance, and it's good to see him really just spread his wings and be like, okay, I got this, guys. And he just takes the whole movie by the reins and just goes with it.
Yeah, he just got to flex on this movie. I really like that.
Yeah, I think as far as the James McAvoy comes in, I thought he Ryan said it best, it was a masterclass of acting, to be able to come in with and not only a audio aspect of it, you could hear in his voice how he changed, but when he transforms into the Beast, and when in a single scene with not even a take being taken out of it, so to speak, it was a one take shot, and he would transform into these different characters, and physically you saw him transform. Before he even spoke, emotionally you knew he was Patricia, you knew he was Dennis. And I think, as far as that goes, that just set such an awesome theme to the rest of the movie that, you're about to witness, a very awesome acted movie.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to add, or do you want me to jump into some questions here?
Let's jump into some questions. I could talk about James McAvoy all day, and there are other really good things about the movie that we should look into as well.
Oh man, no, I think we should spend the first hour talking about how well he acted this movie.
Oh god, I'm gonna get some questions. not that I don't respect James McAvoy, but this podcast is only an hour long, with some wiggle room. Okay, so first question I have listed here: ignoring McAvoy's impressive performance because it is indeed impressive. What are your thoughts on the depiction of DID in this film? I'm hitting it hard right out the gate.
No shit. I mean, you're talking about two people that have no idea about therapy and psychology and things like that. So I think from a cinematic point of view, like how DID has been displayed was not unrealistic, but definitely to the extreme. Because I think not all people that have DID are psychotic killers.
No, actually, you bring that up. There was actually a controversy in this film release. That's actually kind of where I'm coming from on this one a little bit. Is various people with the condition and various therapists of those people have come out when the movie was released, and they did state their claim that while the film is indeed performed well, they had a gripe with the depiction of DID, and more or less that it kind of paints another negative stereotype on the condition and the people with it. Which, it's Hollywood. They're going to make mistakes like that repeatedly. I mean, how long was it until we had a non ethnic person as a villain in a film? You know what I mean? There was a pretty good period of that.
Okay, that gripe is understandable, but I feel like the movie it's actually, I feel like the movie itself is trying to go out of its way to say that not all people with this disorder are like that. Because you see Dr. Fletcher fighting throughout the course of the entire movie as one of the biggest advocates for patients with DID, and the amazing abilities that they are portraying throughout the course of the film, where it's not automatically assumed that Kevin is doing these horrible things, and as soon as it's revealed, like how far gone his undesirables got, it was like Dr. Fletcher was the one who was trying to put a stop to it as like the moment she found out. So I feel like I absolutely understand where you're coming from and how this one well-acted portrayal can cast a negative light on everybody with the disorder. I don't think the movie was trying to go out of its way to say that.
Oh no!
I think it was saying that Kevin, in and of himself, is a very, very rare type of person with this disorder.
No, and I agree with you. You're right on point. I don't think it was ever intentional, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still something people read the wrong way, and those who are uninitiated to the DID disorder, so to speak, they're going to have this as an example. And let's be real here, Ryan. Most people outside of people like us who research shit about movies to talk about these movies in such depth, most people aren't going to go and look up DID and be like, oh, hey, what is this for reals? They're going to, just take this at face value, or at the very least, just accept this for what it is. And, whenever they hear about DID down the road, they might remember this and nothing else and think, oh, that's what this is. That guy might be crazy. But then I look at something, and this is where I'm going to tie back my what you watching into this. I look at something like United States of Terra, and I did read opinions on both this film and the show, in that show, from various news outlets, from various opinion pieces from psychologists and whatnot, just to see how they compare, to see how they handle the DID portrayals. And by and large, a lot of the ones I've read kind of came on the favor of United States of Terra, basically saying that while it is a little exaggerated at times, they do a much more nuanced and much more realistic job of portraying exactly what this disease is and how it impacts the people, the people with it and those around it. This one obviously is a much more cartoonish, much more outlandish way of showing it, but it doesn't help those with it. And while it is a rare disease in and of itself, it doesn't help their portrayal when it's just another movie tacking on the list of movies that portray these people as just kind of like, villainous or monstrous in some capacity.
That's a fair criticism. That's a fair criticism.
Yeah, and I guess, like, with what you're saying, I quickly, will contradict what I said earlier. I guess when we watch movies, do we watch movies to watch reality? Or do we watch movies to escape reality? So in this instance of a movie that's a DID movie, and we talk about it being in its extremity, well, isn't that what we want when we watch movies? Is that extremity of? And so where United States of Terra is more of like a respectable, homage to people with DID, I think now that you said all that, this movie is that extreme part that we want to get lost in. We want to have that sort of thrill factor of, extremity of any disorder that someone may have.
Oh, no, and I'm not trying to say this movie is horrible for it, but I do think there's a case to be made, and I think it is something that we should definitely bring up front before we get too deep in anything else, is that this is definitely an extreme case, and if you have no exposure to DID information, period, go look it up, go do some research, don't just take this at face value, because this clearly is not the majority of those cases. This clearly isn't the only way DID has ever been presented in people. So do homework. That's all I recommend.
I mean, this movie is pretty much going out of its way to say that people that this particular person with DID can't, his power of belief and his ability to really control what he believes is so extreme in the case of this DID that he can develop superpowers by believing he has them.
Which is kind of an interesting concept in of itself, and I wish I could see a superhero movie with that as the hero's power almost. It's almost like Shazam a little bit.
You just saw it, except it's a villain.
Well, no, but I mean, think of it so think of Shazam from DC Comics. I almost feel like that's something that would almost fit his power set better, because it's a child becoming a superhero, and having it be based on the power of belief would be fucking cool, because kids believe all sorts of crazy shit. They believe in themselves super hard, and this concept of being a hero, this would fit him perfectly. Here it's a little weird, but it fits what they're trying to do.
I didn't actually find it weird, and I guess this stems into another one of these discussion questions that I'm going to go to.
Go for it.
In regards to actually, which one was it? Was it even one? Yes, actually. In DID, the various personas take shapes in response to trauma and stress, generally taking on traits most needed to help the host. In the case of Kevin, these persona each of these persona take on a various purpose to get Kevin, the person, through the craziness of his childhood and his trauma. So I think the most telling aspect about this, about the horde, the three that really kind of took over everything and summoned the beast, is that it was always in response to protecting Kevin. It was always in response to both protecting Kevin and protecting the rest of the group, because they wanted to summon this powerful figure that would show the world, A, they exist, and be strong enough to protect them from anybody that would come to hurt them. And they summoned this monstrous entity that literally has skin that could resist shotgun blasts at point-blank range, is fucking crazy enough to be able to scale sheer walls, and strong enough to bend apart steel. It was the case of their belief, but it was all stemming back towards that desire for protection for the host. And I think that's really, really cool.
Beau's been
Oh,
quiet for a
man.
bit. I'll let him chime in.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, in response to that, like, what I had such a huge kick off this movie because, let's look at the first Incredible Hulk movie.
Okay.
Our introduction, our introduction to it is people doing superhuman abilities when like catastrophic situations are happening. We're able to pick up a car and lift it if our child's stuck underneath it and a fire is burning and it's about to die. And so what I liked about the extremity of this beast character, it says that if our mind is this belief that it is what it is, can it like scale walls? If like an example that who is the psychologist, Miss Kroger,
Fletcher?
Dr. Fletcher, yeah.
Dr. Fletcher, she says that there was a blind woman who was able to see with 3 of her personalities, right?
Mhm.
So with this particular character, Kevin, is he able to scale walls because the belief of him being this beast monster, he's able to do so? You know, is he able
Yeah.
to deflect? Is he able to deflect bullets because that's the belief of that particular character? And I found that so believable, like in the extremity of a DID situation, like that is almost like very believable in the sense that that could possibly very much happen.
And what you got? What you got on this?
And we're just on this question here.
Mhm.
I would say I do still kind of question the purpose of the Beast character, because here's my thinking. He has these
Okay.
he has these 23 personalities, assuming Kevin's included that too. I assume so. I have to go back and count them all. But of these 23 personalities, they've all come into existence from the moment his trauma started with his mom in that one little flashback we got, all the way up to now. And they all serve a different purpose. Dennis was like the protector. Patricia was like the motherly figure. Hedwig was kind of his. I would say
Inner child.
it was his inner child. I think that was even part of his like belief structure as well, because I mean he believed that window was there, and it really wasn't, but he believed it was his window. You know. You had Barry, who I think was supposed to be kind of the responsible one, the one that actually couldn't maintain a job. And we didn't get a good look at any of the other ones outside of that. But I mean, we have a general idea of what we're getting here. And the Beast is summoned by 3 other persona engaging in presumably a ritual of some kind, which we don't get a lot of detail of. It's pretty quick. They go to a train with a bouquet of flowers, and he just kind of becomes this monster. We don't need more than that. It's enough. But I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching this, what does the Beast serve other than being this aggressive force? Because why does Kevin need this monster of a persona to do anything? He has everything else more or less in order. I mean, even Dennis as Barry kind of goes out of his way to say everything's fine, and I'm sure because based on what Fletcher says early on, things have been going well. Because Barry has been able to keep that job maintained with his fashion his fashion career and everything. So I guess the question I have is, how do these persona go rogue on Kevin, and how do they summon this beast, and what does this beast like serve overall? Like, what's his purpose here that isn't just to murder things? Because I don't feel like anyone has a need to murder people. I feel it has to be something else beyond that. And I don't think it's protection, because he's too... Protection doesn't... That's not protection. Any of his persona could look at it and say, you're not protecting shit, buddy.
Well, I think that Kevin prophesized the Beast character long when he was a child, and that's why the other personalities were connected to that Beast character.
So my read on the Beast character is a couple of fold. First thing, I really like that Dr. Fletcher pointed out. Well, the Beast doesn't originate from the room, but rather from the train yard because Kevin's father left on a train. So it could there's a part of the beast that resembles that kind of takes on that raw pain from being abandoned by his father. So that's one part of it. The fact that the beast has all of these superhuman physical attributes based on the animals that he worked around in the zoo, taking the physical attributes of these really, really powerful figures and putting it into himself as this one being that literally cannot be harmed by most physical attributes. I think that's two. And I think the third bit of it, and what really makes it so monstrous, is this shared resentment between Dennis and
Patricia and Hedwig.
Dennis and Patricia and Hedwig, for these people who have never suffered, who look down on them and their disability. These people that haven't gone through anything of what they've gone through, and yet they judge them for how their mind is coping with it. I think the shared resentment between all three of those, because those three undesirables were also mocked and ridiculed by the other 20 desirables in the group. So it was almost like a reflection of resentment on resentment. I think that makes a really big facet of what the beast is. And that really embodies the beast's whole philosophy about how the unbroken don't deserve to be in the world. They're asleep because they haven't had to survive anything. They're weak and they only exist as flesh for those who deserve to live in the world. The people that have been broken and survive anyway. That's what I think he is.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah, and I thought I didn't dwell too much in the side plot. You have a much more deeper evaluation about the side plot of just lost my train of thought, about the unbroken spirit. Like, that threw a huge curveball to me, because here I was so focused in on the personalities and these girls escaping, that when he looked into Casey's eyes, he more or less let her go, because he knew that she was an abused, broken spirit. So I didn't hang on that point too much, because I was so distracted about all the other stuff. So it's kind of nice, Ryan, that you kind of saw that counterpoint of seeing this unbroken spirit and the fact that she was able to survive because of it.
Yeah, I mean that's really the one saving grace for the girl's character, because you see her leaning on all of these old things that her father taught her, and how the story is going to become, well, this girl was trained to be a hunter and he is a beast, and she hunts beasts for a living.
Yeah.
She's about to put this dude down, and it's going to be fantastic. And she has the idea to lock herself in the cage so he can't get to her. And then as he makes his way, she shoots him fucking twice, and then he gets up. And you're like, okay, well, she's dead. She's dies, because he is actually superhuman at this point. And the only thing that saves her is when he recognizes the self-inflicted scars on her body, and he realizes that she is broken, that she has suffered, and that she stands there surviving in spite of her trauma. And that's why he's like, you are pure. You deserve to be in this world, because the broken are more evolved. And then he leaves her be.
Why fuck with you? No, I thought that scene in particular, from an artistic standpoint, the fact that she locks herself in a cage from the beast, I thought was fucking beautiful. And it was so anti M. Night Shyamalan on his other movies that come off completely tacky. And once again, I get super excited about re-watching these movies, because maybe there's some artistic points that we're gonna see that we didn't see before. like points like that one. And I think with Casey though, like the whole time, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I kept thinking Casey was the character the whole entire time. Like the fact that they were building up to this dramatic like situation in her life with her uncle, and you know the scene where you know he's dressed down and he causes her to dress down. Like I thought that was what it was going to be, like that moment where she became Kevin, she became the Beast, she became Dennis.
That might have been
So I
too
thought-
head fuckery for that, though.
That would have been too heavy.
Right. But like a whatever. As psycho as it been to that point, is just like, is that going to be the twist that M. Night's building up to where she has been the character the whole time? I'm glad it wasn't, because that was very heavy, her storyline as a child, I thought.
Yeah.
I want to add to that, actually. So I think going into this, and I know we're running way longer than I thought we would. It's already 50 minutes, shit. So focusing on Casey real quick. In my original watch, I kind of wasn't like super following her character. I was more entranced by McAvoy's performance, what he was doing. But this rewatch here, I found her story actually way more compelling than I did the first time, and I actually think it's probably my favorite part of the movie. I mean, I love his acting, but just her little story and kind of how it shows her this situation was built for her, and how she's able to handle and cope with it. It's very fascinating, and I don't say it's my favorite because so I understand there's like a uncle molester kind of stuff going on. And so I know saying it's my favorite part of the movie isn't like a good thing, but it's probably my favorite presentation of the film. It's like it's a nice little side story that feeds into the main story in such a very well done way. Is what
Yeah,
I would say.
it gives the movie texture.
Yeah.
With like giving you that, because when you look at the horror of the movie, there's nothing like outwardly spoken. There's like talk a lot about a beast, and then you see James McAvoy acting out as a very deranged character, but he never does anything super physical at all to the characters. And I think the true horror of the movie is kind of this underlining like molester sort of like build up to a very creepy potential rapey scene, which I'm glad they never like finished, because I don't think in movies you need to like show that, like building up of it.
The implications
alone
enough.
Yeah.
No, the implication was real. Did anybody really like the mirrored scene of a child holding a gun on an adult from Unbreakable? Because
yes,
I didn't think about that till you brought it up, but that's really good.
Oh man, watching these movies like back to back, I totally picked up, and like the connections between Unbreakable and this, like seeing them together like this.
Well,
there's a lot of similarities to it.
Let me blow your mind real quick, boys. So there's another similarity that gives away the twist before the quote unquote twist before it happens. So when they released the movie, they had movie posters. I'm sure you guys know what those are. Those are the things they put outside the movie theaters. And on the posters for Split, there are cracks on it, kind of like a shattered glass kind of effect.
Really?
The same kind of shattered glass effect you can see on the Unbreakable posters.
God damn it.
And it's something that should have been a red flag, but no one really thought about it because it's been 16 fucking years.
Yes,
Who's gonna
it's
think about
16
that?
years removed. It can they can do that shit. They can do that shit. It's 15 years removed. So like, yeah.
And when I read the fact about that, I thought about it. I'm like, damn, they were really like trying to flag it down, but no one would have seen it coming.
Here's one thing that I'm gonna drop a bomb. Do you notice that Hedwig's character's favorite artist was Kanye West?
I remember hearing
Yes.
that, yeah.
I thought that was fucking hilarious.
And now Kanye West might be the next president for all we know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's such a weird connection to like now that you see like Kanye West acting the way he is. It's like, holy shit! Is there an ultimate twist to like all of this government stuff?
Do you think Donald Trump is the 24th persona?
Oh my God, Donald Trump. It's the
Aaron,
Trump. Oh God, it's the Trump.
Aaron, I smoke way too much weed to like comprehend that sort of theory. So you just blew my mind, buddy.
I try sometimes. I do. Okay, let's do a fun one here. Of the personas we did get to engage with, who was the most interesting for you?
Patricia.
Oh,
I
Patricia
think
was-
Patricia, hands down, there's such a physical change between characters that I thought he did very well, but that slow sort of draw of his voice and dramatic pause that he had when he spoke as Patricia, I just thought was fucking haunting. And nothing made my blood run more cold when he acted as her.
I kind of liked Hedwig myself, and not because the other ones weren't good, but because it's just such a different persona. Like, you have all these more adult, serious personas running around. You have this fucking little kid out of nowhere, and he just throws a wrench into things in a very interesting way, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see where you're coming from with there, just because this little character, and then there's actually a scene where she fights him, and he almost seems weakened, to where in the scene next to it when he is Dennis, I think is the persona, he comes on very strong and is able to attack her. So yeah, I think in the extremity of Patricia, here you're this 30-some-year-old man, and now you're acting like a 9-year-old. I totally can agree with you on the point there.
I'm gonna completely split the pool. Split. And I'm gonna go with Dennis. Actually, because I love how his persona is really set to be like the OCD. You keep everything spotless, and yet it's Dennis that actually takes it upon himself to portray Barry in front of Dr. Fletcher.
And he misses all the little details.
Right. But you can appreciate how much of a stretch it is for Dennis as a separate persona to be Barry.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, to be Barry and to be that far removed from himself. But also, you gotta love the small touches that Dennis actually just can't help himself from doing, like adjusting the candy bowl a millimeter,
right,
or something like that,
or walking to the trash thinking that's what Barry would do.
Yeah, he's so meticulous and so driven, and you can see you can see Dennis is the guy that will buckle down and do anything for Kevin's protection, including going entirely against his persona to keep them safe. So I picked Dennis.
Oh, crazy! I would never think of taking the side of Dennis, but after hearing you say that, I can totally see where he sacrificed not only his own persona as Dennis, but he has simulated a completely different persona upon persona to ultimately protect Kevin and what they're trying to do for him.
Yeah.
And very solid point.
I definitely respect that opinion. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I honestly think one of my favorite scenes in the movie is that the penultimate meeting between Barry, quote unquote, and Dr. Fletcher, when she's like, okay, look, I know I'm talking to Dennis, and I can see exactly why Kevin needs Dennis, because you're so driven and you're so meticulous. You will do anything to protect Kevin. And she's buttering him up while he's trying to be Barry. And then as she finally asks him to talk, you see him change. The camera stays on him, and you see him drop the act and become a completely different person. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking acting gold. What are we doing here? It's so good.
That's what I mean. Like, there's so many scenes like that where you see him physically change before he spits any sort of line of dialogue, where like you can almost call it out, like Dennis is about to speak, and then he goes into that accent, or you see his shoulders like soften and he becomes feminine, and you're like, oh shit, he just became Patricia right in front of us. And he even does that with the Beast, like when he drops down low, it's completely like back shot and it's all in dark. And you see him drop to the ground, and you see him rise up, and his traps, his muscles in his necks are more intense, and it's like, holy fuck, he just became the 24th personality. This is the Beast that everyone's been talking about. And very subtly, it was that M. Night Shyamalan twist, but it wasn't that necessarily in your face twist. It was just like, holy fuck, very beautiful character transformation.
So one final question. We're at the hour mark here, so it's going to be very quick. Does this film contextualize a Shyamalaniverse, or is this just a one-off trilogy we're getting here, you think?
Oh man, Shyamalaniverse all day, I think. It had great twists, so to speak. It had redemption factor for a bunch of shitty movies for the last 16 years. He brings in a very iconic character to kind of help him save face. Like, I think this is very classic, like I said before, senior thesis type M. Night Shyamalan movie.
I will reserve judgment and wait until I see Haley Joel Osment show up at the end of Glass. If he's there, then I know all of these movies are connected. If he's there, I know all of them are connected. Otherwise, yeah.
I want to see Glass, and I want to have there be a post-credit scene where he steps into David Dunn's apartment. He's like, Mr. Dunn, he blows his sunglasses, like, I've got a proposal for you. It's I call it the something initiative. I don't know what he'd call it, but it wouldn't be Avengers. It'd be something else.
Either that, or he walks up to David and is like, "Well, I usually show up to help you guys through this next part," and it's revealed that David actually died in the course of the movie.
Oh, that'd be so sick!
That would be too sick. And he gets the guy Bruce Willis to the afterlife once again. Now, if that happens, then yes, I completely buy that all of the movies are connected. Otherwise, this can just be a really, really badass trilogy that Shyamalan did.
I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. I really am.
I'd be mad if it broke down like that. But I would like to see Haley come in, like, just with the simple, like, cheesy reference of, I see multiple personality people.
God damn it.
All right. Well, those are our discussion questions, and let's put some money down, fans and everyone on the podcast. If you think we're going to see Haley Joel Osment, leave a comment down below and explain what you want him to do with the next movie. We're going to find out what happens. With that, let's get to the mailbag reminder real quick. Again, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, the Steam group. You can also go down to the comments on YouTube and any of our platforms we're on, Peepa, iTunes, Google Play, whatever floats your boat. And we have an email. You can reach that if you have any questions about the upcoming DC films, which you should definitely start asking questions on right now before we record them, as well as any questions on Room or other future Shyamalan films, or anything else you have. If you have a favorite movie, just shout it out. We'll read it online. We don't care. We'll dedicate a whole segment to that. Ryan, what is the email that should send all that to?
That is the broken are the more evolved at gmail. Excuse me. That is evacstation at gmail.com.
You heard it right there, folks. Evacstation at gmail.com. I love how you come up with those on the fly. It's pretty good.
He gets paid $5 every time he does it.
Boy, I wish.
Well, I don't even get paid $500 for what I do. With that, everybody, I'm going to skip the trivia once again because we're running a little long, but I'll bring it back hopefully next time. We're going to go to our final clothing thoughts. Again, we rank the films from platinum, gold, silver, bronze, stone, dirt, and shit in that order. and we're going to go ahead and rank the film right now. If you have any questions on those ranks, the link is in the description down below. Gentlemen, what are we going to rank Split at this week?
Well, I made mention to it in last week's podcast. I kind of gave it away, and I still have not changed my mind in the time since the last podcast. But considering James McAvoy's acting, considering the brilliant storytelling that the movie does, and how it manages to set up a sequel and trilogy without being an obvious cash grab, but rather just a welcome addition to the world that it's setting up, I am giving this a platinum, straight up.
Beau, I'm assuming you're giving it a platinum too?
Actually, since last week's podcast, I had 7 days of serious deliberation about this movie. And seeing how I hand out platinums all the time,
he's gonna hand out a double platinum. Oh shit!
God damn it!
Jokes on you, Ryan. It's triple plat.
Stealing asshole.
I got him.
I was gonna give it double platinum because this movie is great, and I think going into the next string of M. Night Shyamalan movies, we're not gonna see a platinum much after this. So yes, he gets a double platinum. Great comeback movie. Great acting, great direction, great writing is great. Great. Double platinum, like Ryan stole my thunder and said. But after this, I will guarantee a non-platinum for a very long time.
Well, we don't know that. I mean, while we're not recording it next week...
Oh, I know that. I've been doing my research, brother.
Well, no. So we're not recording it next week because it's not out yet. But next week when it airs will be Glass. So that might be a platinum. We don't know yet, but it could be.
I guess I didn't read that memo yet. Sorry.
I'm open to the possibility. That's still a month or two off.
Yeah. Okay, so then I totally take back everything I just said and hold on for hopefully one more platinum before we go into the dark ages.
That'll be the triple plat right there.
See, this is why you don't give out platinums like candy, because you got to leave room for you to go higher up.
Ryan, I'm a whore for a good movie. I'm sorry. I'll learn.
So I'm going to be the contrarian here.
I know.
Of course.
And again, I don't hate this movie, but I do think there are some soft spots you could poke at for sure. And I'm going to go ahead and put it at a silver ranking myself. I think the acting is very solid. I think that what they do with this film is really fun in a lot of ways. But I do think that there's a suspension of disbelief I cannot give this movie for me. It just goes a step beyond where I'm willing to go with it.
Like you didn't dig the power of belief leading to superpowers in a dissociative identity disorder patients.
It seems like it's stacking too many ideas on one character, possibly.
True, but it's also like that suspension of disbelief in the sense this is a movie, and you want to see that exaggerated version of that. And oh my God, I am shaking my head at you, and the podcast listeners can't see it, but I am severely shaking my head.
Let me say this. If I had not seen United States of Terror before this, I probably would have kept it at a gold, but I like what they did with DID a lot more, and I think that just that alone, I have to bump this down a bit. Just a bit.
Yeah, if you want a soft version of DID, sure, that's a good example and good analogy.
All right, so what are you actually giving it? What are you actually giving it?
I'm gonna settle with silver for now. I'm gonna settle with silver.
All right. That's fair.
And with that, I think that concludes our episode here. Again, you can find us on all the social media. You can email us. All the links are down below. Next week, you guys are going to be listening to Glass. Next week for us, we're going to be listening to something far less interesting and fun. We'll see you guys next week. And remember, we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.
Bye. Peace.
Woo-hoo.